Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
It's going down. It's going down on this Monday. Happy Monday. It's Make It Happen on Monday. It's a moving Monday. Lots going on Monday. You have tuned into We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation with the Force of Friendship. And I am your host today, Crisette Ellis from the D. And I'm excited to be with you on today. When I tell you this weekend was a whirlwind weekend. You know, if you live in the D, you understand what cold weather is. And of course, we know in a couple of days, we're about to get a major snowstorm. So it's all good. It's all good. We're used to it. But I'm so glad to see my girlfriends are here. We don't have perfect attendance on today. We're giving a shout out to our girlfriend, Gloria Mayfield Banks, who's somewhere living her best life in Cancun, Mexico, with her main man, Ken Banks. And so we want to give them a shout out. Absolutely missing her on today. But I promise you, I would absolutely leave these chicks to be in a warm place right about now. But we got, and I'm about to. That's why I had to say that. I am about to next week for sure. But we have our girlfriend, Caterina Harris Earl from the West Coast. And we have Sabrina Goodwin Monday with us from Geneva on the Lake, Ohio.
Sabrina, yeah, unmute on StreamYard.
She is from the North Pole. Seriously, she will tell you she lives directly down the street, across the street from Santa Claus, for sure. That's exactly what it was like. When I tell you she has snow everywhere, but she's going to adjust because that's just who she is. She knows how to adjust. But you guys, so much is going on. We hope that you had a fantastic weekend, whatever it was that you did. We hope that you enjoyed it, that you brought some laughter, had some love, and that you were able to get some things done on the weekend. You guys, lots and lots in the news, but let me just say, I know some of you are like, I am tuned in because they are going to have the former mayor of Detroit, the one and only Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick. And some of you were able to catch us on our Instagram Live and on Facebook. He is not going to be with us on today, but no worries. We had to postpone it until Thursday, February the 3rd. He had to fly out back to Atlanta. So he is going to be with us on Thursday. So we absolutely want you to tune in because that is going to be a very powerful conversation. But don't worry. We have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So much over the weekend has happened in the news. And we want you, those of you that are watching us on Facebook and on the 9:10 a.m. Facebook, put in the chat some of the things that you read about or heard about over the weekend, because it's a whole lot. And so the girlfriends are here. We're going to talk a little bit about all that transpired over the weekend. And so, of course, we know that one of the biggest news that came across our feed was the suicide of Miss USA. She was Chelsea Christie, died at an early age of only 30, you guys. She was Miss USA for 2019 2019. Such a beautiful woman, and, just very accomplished at that. Just reading more about her bio and who she was, because a lot of times when you watch the Miss USA, you just get a snippet of their life. You don't know everything about them. You watch to see, really their outside appearance, what they look like on the outside, to watch them walk in their beautiful gowns. And I don't know, and you guys can help me, if it's the Miss USA pageant that has totally cut out the bathing suit portion. I believe it's one of the beauty pageants that kind of cut out the bathing suit. But she just made us all so proud when they crowned her Miss USA in 2019. And so, actually this weekend, my daughter Kiera and my daughter-in-law Angelica, we went to see Hairspray. And downtown at the Fisher Theater. It was absolutely amazing Broadway show. We enjoyed that. And of course, it popped up on our feed, and we were just like, oh my goodness, could not believe that had happened. So of course, we want to send thoughts and prayers out to her mother, and to, I believe she had a sister, and of course, a host of family and friends and mentees, all of that. And so you guys don't know the details, but just, something that I think a lot of people were talking about it. I mean, our hearts were heavy. And I mean, my heart was really heavy, like I really knew her personally, but I didn't. So I'm just going to throw it over to Caterina. You want to jump in? How did you feel when you heard the news?
Wow. Well, I just want to say it was so much. I'm so grateful that you guys held it down while I was out of town. Wasn't far, got away for our birthdays. And I want to say honestly that it's like you need to get away and turn off the news for a short period of time, because it's so much heavy. And to come back to this, I mean, I can't even, I'm sure I felt like so many. Of course, the first thing you wonder is what happened. Was she sick? But to hear about how she died, I just immediately began to intercede for, and I'm not sure if anyone else was in the room with her, but I just, what could have occurred? What was going on? It just seems like there had to be some type of a substance that would help you even get to the point of being able to do that. I don't know how you could not be under the influence of something and just step off. Or was it an accident? Was there foul play? Was there something else going on? But just from what I heard, I'm sure it's just like everyone else. It's shocking. And then to get the news about how it occurred is unfathomable. I can't even put it into words. And so you just wonder what could possibly be going on that would allow you even to do that to yourself, And so I know we've talked about mental health, and we can't talk about it enough, and we need to talk about it more. But that's what went on. I'm sure it's the same thing that we all thought it's unfathomable. I can't even put into words what that would be like.
I mean, yeah, it was just a punch in the stomach, and it was just a loss for words. And Sabrina, tell us how you felt when you read the story.
Yeah, Caterina, welcome back. We certainly missed you. You say unfathomable. I don't know about unfathomable. Mental health is what it is. And what I know about it, when your brain snaps, when your mind snaps, when you want out, you do whatever it takes. And so whether it's jumping off a building, whether it's putting a bullet to your head, whether it's stabbing yourself, I don't know, taking pills, there are different variations of it. It's all tragic. And all I could say is, friends, if you're out there, you got to know that there's help for you. Reach out, talk to somebody. There's always a brighter day. And so reach out to loved ones, even those who you think are okay. Just ask them, how are you feeling today? The national suicide number is 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. Like you all, your heart just sinks. It just hurts. And honestly, it's been heavy. It's just been heavy. I just have had a hard time just really praying. I don't know this woman, but my goodness, she was such a bright light. She had so much promise. And for them to say, for researchers to say that pandemic is one epidemic, but the other is the next loss of life is suicide because of the pandemic. And so we just don't know how this pandemic, and especially for our young people, you guys, it's just very tough. And so we will just continue to be in prayer. And for our tribe, know that we care, you count, and we got to do a better job, because honestly, I know that it's uncomfortable for me to talk about mental health. I've lost a first cousin. I've lost a best friend to suicide. One of my best friend's husband lost to suicide. And so it's so close that it's hard for me to talk about sometimes. But I know when Chris said we were going to talk about it, I said, well, Chris, I don't know. We need a professional. And so, you know, and it's just hard. It's hard.
It's very hard. And, you know, just, you know, reading about, you know, her background as a civil litigation attorney and how she was just, you know, so on fire for seeing social justice. And then it was interesting. They said in March of 2021, she published an essay in Allure magazine discussing the pressure on people to be successful and on aging. And so, you know, I'm going to go and read the entire article, but you just wonder if sometimes people leave clues about what's going on with them mentally. But I'm excited. We have a guest that's on, and she is a licensed mental health therapist. Sharice Benjamin, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Sharice. Thank you so much for calling.
We got issues on today, as you know, we're talking about the tragic loss of Chelsea Christie, just dying at an early age of 30. And of course, we are not licensed mental health therapists. And so we wanted to have someone just to call in, because we know, as Sabrina said, you know, she's had a close friend and, you know, family, and all of us more than likely know somebody, whether it's family or friends in our life, that have, you know, individuals who thought suicide was the only way out. You know, just thinking last week, we briefly talked about the actress Regina King, who lost her only child, her son, to suicide. So, Sheree, just tell us a little bit about that and some things that we can do. I don't know if we can necessarily identify it, but how can we be more present and understand a little bit more about suicide?
Yes, so suicide has really, the rate has been going up lately, especially because of the pandemic. And suicide is a forever decision that cannot be reversed. We always speak that's a decision of the individual that is dealing with some type of depression, making decisions, impulsive decisions that's in their life. The warning signs are there. And individuals that have been, like Regina King's son and this young lady, Chelsea, what was the things that she was dealing with, the pressure of being successful? She had a very successful career. What was her signs that she dealt with? Was it the seasonal effect of the increase of depression, feeling the stress and the loneliness, and feeling overwhelmed? So as individuals, there's help out there. Being able to identify the warning signs. There are programs out of CPR, which is a question, prepare and refer to suicide prevention. Teaching individuals in the community, preparing them to be gatekeepers to be able to identify when individuals are at suicide risk. With that, you trained in you having that in your community, in your church, in your home to be able to refer those individuals out that are in trouble. So we look at suicide, we look at the extreme mood swings, suddenly changing from very sad to very calm and happy, making plans of looking at ways to killing themselves, and they don't really talk about that. But also with dropping hints along the way, talking about things that, I'm better off if I wasn't here. What did you think about if I left you all of my five possessions?
Sharice, I'm gonna stop you right there. We absolutely want to come back to you. We're gonna take our first break, and then we're gonna come right back to you as we finish up talking about some of the signs, the warning signs of suicide. So stick with us, and we'll come right back to you after the break. You are listening to We Got Issues on 910 AM, the Superstation, with the force of friendship. And we will pay some bills, and then we'll be right back. All right, we are coming back. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 910 AM, the Superstation. And prior to the break, we were talking about the warning signs of individuals who may be contemplating suicide. And we have our guest caller, Sharice Benjamin, who is a licensed therapist. Sharice, you still with us?
Okay, all right. So go ahead and continue to tell us, some of the things that we should be cognizant of or look out for the warning signs that someone may be contemplating suicide.
Okay. Yeah, so the warning signs is that they're talking about wanting to die or wanting to kill themselves, talking about feeling empty, hopeless, helplessness, feeling worthlessness, not feeling like they're meant to live or any reasons to live, talking about feeling trapped in whatever they're dealing with, whether it's their career, whether their life or their home life, and not finding any type of solution. Some of the things that they're feeling unbearable emotional pain, which continues to increase, or maybe the physical pain that they're dealing with, the burdens or other burdens in their lives, or maybe feeling as though they're a burden to other people. So they withdraw from their families, they withdraw from their friends, they start giving away all of their important possessions, saying goodbye in indirected ways. When I looked at the young lady's post, she was saying something that as individuals that are looking in, not knowing the whole story, you thinking it's just a post that she did, that she was saying for that day. So was it overlooked? Was she really saying goodbye at that time? Has she already contemplated? Has she already wrote out her plans? Or was it an impulsive behavior at the last minute, just feeling like that she could just give up and just take her life? Those are some of the things that individuals deal with.
Wow, Sharice, thank you so much for sharing that with us, because I mean, as you said, this is real, and during this pandemic, the numbers have absolutely gone up, and we absolutely want to make sure that we are cognizant, that we ask the question, how are you feeling, that we be more present. It's so easy to be caught up in your own stuff. Sometimes you're not as present as you need to be, but we absolutely wanted to have someone that was licensed to come on and just to share with us, because again, we're not licensed to talk more in details, and we wanted to make sure we had someone that did. So we appreciate you, Sharice, for calling in and sharing that information with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharice. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, girlfriends. I mean, it really is a heavy topic. And so, of course, we have so much more that took place in the news, but we definitely wanted to share that on today, because we know that there are so many people whose hearts are heavy because of suicide. And so, again, Sabrina, if you can just one more time repeat that hotline, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah, 1-800-273-8255. And I know one of our viewers said in the chat, it's hard to believe that there wasn't foul play. It was reported that she left a note saying that she would want to leave all of her belongings to her mom. So I don't know. Yeah. So that's the hotline number, you guys. Let's just do a better job checking in with one another. Make a call today. Make a call tomorrow. Check and just, because sometimes we don't know what to say, and people are a little distant. They say, I just need my space. I just need my space. And I've just gotten better to say, well, you know what? Let me just be part of that space. Let me just be a part of that space. Tell me how you're feeling. How can I help? If you want your space, call me in 3 or 4 hours and let me know that you're okay. So I just think that we have to be a little more intrusive to check in on our friends and family, for sure.
I love that. Let me be a part of your space. And that just makes you feel good on the inside. I like that. Let me be a part of your space. Before we move on, we do have another caller. Larry, are you there?
First lady, it looks like that we lost Larry.
Okay, no problem. So Larry, if you want to, feel free to call us back, 313-778-7600. So girlfriends, let's talk about some other things that were in the news. Katrina, is there something you want to talk about that happened over the weekend?
Well, I was just going to say, we totally could segue into talking about the Janet Jackson documentary, because first of all, being my weekend and having to be my birthday weekend, there were so many great things that happened, and having to be the Janet Jackson documentary was just one of the things that tipped it off. But she really came clean, She told, I loved how authentic she was in sharing. Not that she hadn't been authentic before, but she just always has been a private person, right? And it's not necessarily your business until she decides to tell it. So there were so many good things, but hearing one of her dance choreographer, who said part of the reason he became such a good friend of hers was he asked her, I can't remember the exact words.
How is she doing?
How are you doing?
Are you okay?
How are you doing?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Are you okay? And that just, hearing her talk about the times of the dark places. I mean, when you just think about what, being a child and having them band your chest because her breasts were showing, and all the, her nickname is Dunk because of, having a big butt. Hearing even what Michael and what her brothers teasing her and just all that, what you've heard about her father and her life and losing her brother and going through divorce and all of those things that she has gone through. Hearing her talk about it, you could just see that it's a blessing that she obviously has done some real work, because it sounds like she's been to those dark places too, but has chosen a different path, and so it just I just wanted to say we could segue and talk about that, but I love the way it ended. It was so upbeat, and seeing her perform in Hawaii, but she really has been through it. It gave me a new level. I've always had respect for her and how she's handled her career, but it definitely gave me a new perspective and a new level of respect, and just seeing the importance again of "Are you okay?" and having her talk about her brother Michael and how they didn't talk a lot about all of the different interventions, but she alluded to the intervention and the fact that they wanted, and that she knew, he had changed, the people that were around him had changed. And so it just tells me again, Sabrina, what you said, sometimes you can come in the front door, and sometimes you got to break the back door down and come in the back door. It's just,
that's right.
It's that important, because the alternative is, one of the things that I've said is I'm willing to risk the relationship. There's sometimes you're willing to risk the relationship. Maybe there's nothing going on and the person might be mad at you forever, but maybe
Right.
there is something going on. Women have something called an intuition, and we have got to trust our intuition. I know that I'm Holy Spirit led. You have got to trust that. You just have got to trust that. So that's just, that was.
Yeah. That documentary it really shed a light on a lot. And you know what? I mean, so many times, and we're all guilty of making judgmental calls, even when you think about the documentary on Serena and Venus's life, King Richard, some of the things, watching him, and he was a little colorful and, eccentric, and, you're like, what's going on with him? But when you're able to have insight into the backstory, it makes you understand why people are who they are. I just thought about when she talked about she wanted to go to college. She wanted to be an attorney, but her dad said, no, you're going to sing. And to think about a child who grew up on stage in Las Vegas at 7 years old. I mean, we can't even fathom what that was like, because at 7 years old, we were playing hopscotch and, jacks. We talked about that last week, some of the things that we did to just have fun. And so, you look at that and you say, wow, that was her life. But I love the fact that when it was all said and done, I'm throwing it to you, Sabrina, she talked about, that she is where she is because of her father. So I thought that was interesting. That was nice for her to say, yeah, even with all of the whatever, I am here because of what my dad did. Sabrina?
Yeah. I thought it was an excellent documentary. But did she talk about her child much at all? Did I miss that part?
Towards
did
the
she talk?
end.
She did.
Towards
She
the
did
very
not
end.
talk about his father. She did not mention him at all. Probably
Really?
prenup, can't do it, legal stuff going.
Right.
He was not
Because he's a
mentioned.
billionaire is what I hear.
Yes.
Right. But she's not with him anymore, though, right? She's not with him anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Not with him anymore.
Yeah.
Did you see how they threw
Janet,
Jermaine Dupri under the bus on Twitter?
Yeah. Saw that.
I didn't see it. What did you say? I missed that, Caterina. What did you say?
They threw Jermaine Dupri under the bus on Twitter. Talk about it, Sabrina, or whatever you want to share.
No, go ahead. Then I'll come back to mine. Go ahead with your Jermaine.
Yeah, I was just saying, because he admitted to cheating on her. Period. Like who gonna cheat on
he was
Halle
honest.
Berry, Janet Jackson? Yeah. They're like, loser.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you guys, I mean, it was just been so much in the news. Did you guys, I mean, come on, Nick Cannon announced baby number 8. Baby number 8. Nick, what are you doing, dude? I mean, tie that thing up. Do something. Really? What you doing? Okay? Baby number 8, Caterina, that's too much. I mean,
How many baby
babies.
mamas? How many baby mamas, Sabrina?
He's got 2 sets of twins, so that takes 4 of them. And then he's got 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3. I gotta count my things. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess number 4 or 5 baby mamas. But it's really something. And he said that he knew that they were expecting this baby when he lost his baby of 5 months that we just talked about.
By somebody else.
By somebody else. But he said he didn't know how to tell the world because he didn't want to appear insensitive. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. We'll be back. Yeah. We got issues. Nick Cannon got issues. We all got issues, but we're talking about them today. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Sabrina. We'll be right back on that note in just a few minutes. All right, we're back. We are back. You are listening to We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation with the Force of Friendship. And right before the break, Sabrina was giving us the lowdown on Nick Cannon and his 8 babies with at least 4 or 5 babies mama. So Sabrina, go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, our tribe reminded us, they are honored. Somebody said he has 6 baby mamas. Somebody said 5, somebody said 6. Bottom line is it's a whole lot of them. It's a whole lot of them. I just wonder what his thought process is. I really would love to have him on the show. Crisette, you know the who's who. So Crisette, we're gonna have you find Nick Cannon.
I know what his thought process is. I know exactly what it is.
What is it,
Katrina?
We know what he's thinking with. Okay, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they figure plenty money. I don't know all the way, but there's an issue there somewhere. It ain't the issue with the number of kids. It's the number of baby mamas. Let's be clear. A lot of people have had a lot of kids. It's them baby mamas.
Right. Well, I mean, so go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, maybe they know what they're signing up for. You know, he did say he wants a lot of kids. And you know what? If you Google Nick Cannon, he has a lot of money. If you look at, what he has done, it came up on one of my feeds not too long ago about, some of the wealthiest people, and his name popped up, and I was like, huh? I mean, I knew he was a millionaire, but I didn't know how wealthy he was until I looked it up, and I said, oh, okay, well, maybe, he doesn't mind spending money when it comes to kids. And he says, he has a relationship with all of his kids. And I know, when you are very busy and he has the twins by Mariah Carey, I don't know how present you can be, as a parent, but, that's not for me to judge or anything. I'm just saying that's a lot of kids.
Chris, what you mean? You ain't judging, you just saying, okay, what's the difference?
I'm just saying.
First. Okay.
Take more than money to be a great daddy, okay? More than money.
Now that's true.
And let's be clear, some women will sign up because it's a meal ticket for them.
They lining up. They're like, who's next? Okay. She's going to have her baby in a couple of months. I just don't know if he doesn't want to have a relationship with these women, but I would just think that after losing a child to cancer at 5 months old, that would sober your thinking a bit and say life is not to be played with, that this thing is serious. But, I really don't know. Well, did you guys see Rihanna is pregnant with her first baby? Rihanna is pregnant. And A$AP Rocky, I had to look up who that daddy was, but he's a record producer and rapper out of New York City, and said they've been knowing each other for a long time, but they started dating during the pandemic in 2020. And so they say Rihanna is very happy to be expecting her first baby. So
is he older than her? Same age?
He's 33. How old is Rihanna? He's 33. I don't know how old Rihanna is. Rihanna's probably about that age. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then did you guys hear that Hoda is not married?
Come on, Miss. Come on, 411. Come on, 411. Give it to us. Give it to us. Come on, 411.
Girl, Hoda, the host of today's show, she's been like engaged to Joel Schiffman forever. They adopted those two babies. They've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And they just announced today, she announced it on the show, that they are no longer getting married. She said they are better as friends. And it's just different, y'all. This world is different. I don't know what kind of juice we on, what kind of principles the family principles are, but they're different. And she went on to say that she used the line that people come into your life for a reason, a season, and or a lifetime. And theirs was a season. They will continue to be parents and be loving parents to these children, but they're better as friends. And she said, it was interesting. She said that it was hard to make this announcement because she always shows the highlights. We all show the highlights on Facebook, on Instagram. You show the good stuff. The babies being born, the reveal party, the parties, the bliss, but nobody shows the pain, the hurt, the disappointment. And she said that she hadn't been wearing her engagement ring, and the audience has started to ask, where's your ring? Where's your ring? And so she said she just had prayed about it and said, how am I going to tell these people that it's not happening? And she just said, I'm going to just say what it is. And so life is what it is. But now that we're under this
microscope
where people are looking at your everything, social media, you know what? It's like hard. It's hard. You dang on if you do, dang on if you don't. Do you do social media? Don't you do social media? If you don't do it, they say you're losing in the marketplace. So that's the news I got, y'all. It's a lot out there happening.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. You know what? I was reading a book and it's called 13 Things That Strong Women Don't Do. And one of the things, the very first one was they don't compare themselves to other people. And I thought it was really interesting what she said in the book. She said, if you can imagine a shoebox, the outside of a shoebox, you can see everything that's on the outside of the shoebox. And that's how people, when it comes to social media, they show you their shoebox. They show you the outside, the pretty box. They show you the things, like you said, Sabrina, that people want. Now I won't say people want
The
to see,
highlight
but you
reel,
want
the highlights.
the highlight
The
reel,
highlights.
what you want people to see. And in comparisons, is sometimes you compare the outside of the shoebox, but what's really going on is what's inside the box. And she just said, if you could ever look inside of most people's inside of their shoebox, you would have a totally different opinion, and you would say, I do not want to switch my life. I'll keep the life that I have. And so she, in the book, it just talks about how sometimes we can get so caught up in what we see on the outside and have no clue. I mean, it's beautiful. And I keep going back to Chelsea, but as beautiful as she is, and sometimes we look at the beauty on the outside and we have no idea what people are going through on the inside. So it's just a reminder, when you see Instagram and Facebook, that is their outside reel, and nobody knows what the real deal is but that person that's living their life. Another thing that's been in the news, did you guys hear about Spotify? There's so many different artists that are leaving Spotify because of there's a host, comedian, Joe Rogan, whose podcast has spread a lot of misleading and inaccurate claims about the vaccine and the virus. And so you have people such as even Harry and Meghan, they expressed their concerns to Spotify over the misinformation. And you have artists like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell that pulled all of their music from Spotify to protest all of this misinformation. And so what Spotify is doing, because the list is starting to grow with all of these famous artists, pulling their music. And these aren't artists that you could just throw a stick. These are mainstream, prominent artists. And so now what they're doing is they're adding a content advisory to any podcast episode that includes a discussion about COVID-19. And so this leading them to places that they can go to get the real deal and to get trusted sources on COVID. So, I think it is time that these kinds of companies make sure that they do say something about individuals who are just blatantly on their platforms telling lies. And we know, people receive information from a host of people. They would rather believe a comedian saying false things about COVID as opposed to the scientists and the doctors that have done the research. So I just think it is very good that they're forcing them to do that. Caterina?
And okay, so I totally agree with that. But then I think, okay, it's not like Spotify has somebody, it's a technology that is looking for certain terms, because how else can they police every single person and every word that is said on their platform? I mean, you could turn on the news on any given day on different channels and they are saying misinformation. So why is it, and I'm just talking about the other side, because I totally agree. We've got to, it's got to be some type of a social media has got to have some type of a policing. But then what is going on the news? Misinformation, you can flip to different channels and there's misinformation that's on there. So why is it that it's, over here on one thing, it just doesn't seem to be even? So I don't know how you can turn to what's called a news channel. If it's not news, they should have to put a different term after it, call it entertainment or something.
Right.
But I don't know. So
that's almost like on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, I think is his name, when he's on there. Just I personally just can't listen long enough, and I know I need to be able to go and get different people's perspective, and so I got to do better with that. However, the times that I have listened to, and most of the times I only hear, some of the stuff he says because people on other networks are talking about what he says. And it's just amazing, the falsehoods and just the things that he says that he's able to get away with. And of course, their station has been sued for misinformation and all of that. But their lawyers, came on and said, don't even take what he says serious. It's just, he's just bantering or talking. So they are able to frame what he says as people watching him are watching it for pure entertainment, not to take what he says seriously. So, I mean, and literally they got away with it. So it's just an interesting time, you guys. Very interesting.
Hey, Chris, tell our audience why Kwame's not here, because I just got a text and I thought you guys were doing Kwame. So talk about Kwame. I was so excited about the Instagram Live, y'all. I'm more excited than ever for him to be with us on Thursday, but talk about that a little bit, Chris.
Yeah, you guys, I am so excited that Kwame has agreed to come on the show. He was coming on today, but of course he had to go back to see about his mom, who is in Atlanta and was not able to change his flight. I'll give you more information when we come back after this break. You're listening to We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. And we are just talking about everything that is in the news. And so prior to the break, I was just talking a little bit about Kwame Kilpatrick, who was supposed to be our guest on today. Unfortunately, he had to catch a flight back to Atlanta. So he is going to be with us on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So we absolutely want you to tune in. It's going to be awesome. We're talking about power to prison to preaching. And boy, does he has a story. And it's just a redemption story. It's a great story. And I absolutely know that you do not want to miss it. So Caterina, I'm going to throw it back to you. Lots of going on. Let's talk about HBCUs, the threat that they just received.
Yes, well, this is, I think this definitely ties in. I know you guys talked about the Supreme Court a little bit last week. I'm wondering, there's so many different things taking place, and I'm wondering if that took it over the top to cause these bomb threats. Howard, Southern University, and other HBCUs received bomb threats. At least six historically Black colleges and universities received bomb threats today, disrupting campus operations. Southern University and A&M, Howard University, Bethune-Cookman, Albany State University, Bowie State, Delaware State received bomb threats this morning. 5 schools continue to investigate the threat and remain either under lockdown or have issued shelter-in-place orders. Classes were canceled, and students are remaining in their dorm room until an all clear is issued. And, this comes even after hearing about how close the pipe bomb was to the DNC on January 6th, while Vice President Kamala Harris was in the building. And so, to me, all of this is just speaking to the racial climate in America. It's just, it seems to be, it's not unrelated, totally related. And so it's just crazy.
Yeah, but Caterina, where do we go? I mean, it's points to our former president, Trump. He had a rally this weekend. He was very clear in his languaging. In a nutshell, here's what he said. If these radical, vicious, racist prosecutors do anything wrong or illegal, I hope we're going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in DC, in New York, Atlanta, and elsewhere, because our country and our elections are corrupt. So he is inciting it all. And honestly, we're headed toward a race war. He wants a race war.
And he said that if he's reelected, he will pardon those that are in jail or prison because of January 6th. So he's already putting it out there and saying, hey, if you cooperate with me, don't worry, I got your back. But if you speak against me, just know that I'm going to forget your name. So it's, so when you talk about the Spotify's and all of that, to me, the number one person who needs to be muted is the former president, because he's incited, these folks are just repeating what he said from the Oval Office. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really want to get into this because it's a whole show. But since we're on this topic, I was reading this article and it said the violent attack was talking about January 6th, was a well-coordinated assault. And if the next wave is more extensive than January 6th, as the leader has urged, the country will have its hands full attempting to keep the peace. There are 4 investigations into the former president, all led, I didn't know this, all led by Black Americans. Okay? Benny Thompson out of Mississippi, the chair of the House Select Committee, looking into the January 6th Capitol riot. New York Attorney General Letitia James is looking into whether the former president's business broke the Civil Code of New York. Alvin Bragg Jr., the Manhattan District Attorney, is probing whether the former president violated any criminal statutes while operating his business entities in New York. And Fannie Willis, the Georgia prosecutor, is probing election fraud allegations.
And she just reached out to the FBI to ask for 24-hour protection because of threats. Okay. The one in Georgia, I believe.
Yeah. And so it's very serious out there. Very, very serious. We got to be prayed up. And then I was talking to somebody today, and they said exactly what Hitler did. Rile up the racist masses. Rile them up, rile them up and see what we get. So
we watched 3 movies that were about the Nazis. It's not something that I normally would watch. One was the Munich movie on Netflix, and then there was another one about this. They were all really good movies, and not normally my go-to movie. But as I was watching that movie, I was like, you know what? That movie was so. I understand why they are producing those movies right now, because you got to pay attention to history. And it was so like, oh my gosh, we were sitting there and I was Googling and I was learning and I was paying attention. I was like, you know what? It is not far-fetched. It is not far-fetched. And then you pay attention to what's taking place and the setup, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't pay attention to history absolutely will repeat itself. And, we can't be naive to believe that we live in a democratic society. So, what happens in non-democratic societies would never happen to us, in communistic societies and autocratic societies, that wouldn't happen here. And when I tell you, over these last 4 or 5 years, of having, President Trump in office and just watching how everything is playing out, I have the scales have fallen from my eyes. I know that I probably have been more naive than I should have been when it comes to our government and what can happen and what can't happen. I mean, every day, there were times where I was very surprised at what was going on. And then now I'm not surprised at very much. But we're getting ready to come to an end. So I want Sabrina real quickly talk about football before we end.
We don't have time. We're going to the Super Bowl. My team lost again. I was pulling for KC, but they gave it away. Obviously, they didn't want it. So, hey, I'm with the home team, Ohio, Cincinnati. Go Bingos. Go Bingos. And then Caterina's team lost. Of course, LA, San Francisco. She was going for San Francisco. LA pulled it through.
But I'm gonna stick with my home state. So, let's see how we show up. Ohio versus California. So let's bring it.
Let's go,
it's gonna be sweet to be at home, them playing at home. It's gonna be sweet. But I'm used to it being now. Like this would have been the Super Bowl weekend. So it feels weird because it's always the weekend of my birthday or the next weekend, but it feels weird. It's so late, So but excited. It was some good football though. It was some good football.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting when I hear people that are, football fans to talk about the Bengals and how, they were, the underdogs, And you know what? Even though I don't have a specific team, whenever I'm watching and they say they're the underdog, I just automatically go for them because I just love, those are good stories. And it just lets you know you can always have a comeback. Don't ever count anybody that really wants to succeed. Don't ever count them out. For sure. So it's going to be an interesting game. We'll be in Mexico watching, in the warm, watching the Super Bowl.
Rub it in, the palm trees, 90 degrees. Okay.
Just had to rub it in a little bit. But you guys, this has been a great show. It's been great hanging out with my girls. You guys, tomorrow's show is going to be an amazing show. We absolutely want you to join us tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m. And then don't forget, on Thursday, we're going to have the former mayor of Detroit, Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick, will be with us. So we're excited about that conversation. Again, thank you for taking time out to hang out with the Force of Friendship. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.